So today we are going to be looking at creating formulas and functions in Excel, and I have created these operators. Functions and formula, they are the backbone of Excel. Like, you'll be good in Excel when you know how to use formulas and create, use functions and create formula that works depending on whatever you are looking for. Right? And if you want to start any formula or function in Excel, you are going to start it with an equal sign. So if I enter 2 plus 2 here, Excel does not recognize it as formula until I must have placed the equal sign. Also, I can decide to place this equal sign to write into this cell that I just clicked on by clicking my F2 key. So now it's activated for me to write. Or I can also go to the formula bar and edit. These are ways you can edit Excel. It's either you click your F2 key or you edit in the formula bar, which is this place. Right. So once I place my equal to there, so this is equal to my equal sign, then 2 plus 2. If I click enter, it's giving me 4. So you must always start a formula or function with an equal sign. Right, so these are the operators. These are the four main ones we have. And this is addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. Right, so you can easily write a number, let's say, let me change this to 10. So I can decide to make another one here. So I can decide to say I want to add these two numbers together. So I can decide to say 10 plus 5, 15. Right? I can still do the same for this place. This is 4. But if I come here and change this number to 6, this formula does not update. The same thing will apply to this one. If I change this number to maybe 3, maybe 4, this formula will not update, and doesn't make sense when your formula does not update. Now that is where you will consider cell referencing. Cell referencing in Excel means instead of you typing the value in that cell, you you create your formulas or function picking that cell. So for if I want this value here to update on its own, whenever I change the values in this cell H4, this is H4. As you can see the name of the cell here. So whenever you are clicked on a cell, the name will always appear here. So if I want the value in cell H4 to change automatic, if I change the value in cell H4 and I want the value in this cell H3, H6 to change, I will need to create this formula using cell referencing. Let me type it here. Cell referencing. If I'm correct with the spelling. So for me to do that, I would, instead of saying 10 plus 5 or 6, I would just say enter my equal sign, click on this cell, add my plus, select the other one and click enter. Now this is 16. So if I come here and change this to 4, this value update 10 plus 4 is 14. The same thing if I do the same to this place, I will also have, if I use cell referencing in this formula here, I will also have this value change whenever I change this value here, right? So this is the basis of entering formulas in Excel, right? So yeah, I did something. I did something. If what is in once I just double click and the formula showed up, right? So what we have here is 15 plus 5 divided by 4. In my mind, maybe what I want to get, 15 plus 5 divided by 4 should give me 5. Yes, 15 plus 5 is 20. When I divide it by 4, I should have 5. But that's not what I'm getting. I'm getting 16.25. And this is because I've not applied board mass to this board mass. So we are going to look at the sequence of which you can enter all these operators to use them to create your formulas, right? So BODMAS principle in primary school, secondary school, this has been way back. Bracket, the order, division, multiplication, addition, and subtraction. So the reason why, okay, let me take this here so that, okay, I did this calculation here equal to, and I've entered the bracket here, 15 plus 5, close my bracket. So we call it parenthesis, or whichever one. Close my bracket, divide it by 4. So this means the one inside, this one's inside the bracket will first of all add, which is the first thing. When they are, because addition, bracket first, then division will follow. Right? So the ones inside the bracket will work first, then division. So this plus 15 plus 5 is 20. 20 divided by 4 will give me 5. When I click enter and I have the correct result I'm looking for. But if I say, let me just do this with removing this bracket, I will have a wrong answer. So this is the correction of the what we had in the other worksheet. Right, so I'll still close, open and close to have the answer. Alright, so here in this cell, I use this, the, I don't know the people that use, the country that use this paid mass. I mean, Nigeria, we are used to board mass, but this one I decided to, since we have indices here, I decided to use raised to power. Yeah, so it was 10 raised to power 2 divided by 2 will give me 50, because 10 raised to power 2 is 100, and 100 divided by 2 will give you 50. Alright, so this is the basis of creating formulas and function in Excel. Alright, so this is the sum function. The difference between formula is you are entering the values using your plus, the operators on your keyboard. But in functions, there are inbuilt formulas in Excel. So if I enter equal sign and type sum, which is to add values, I will see this function. So Excel has quite a number of functions, of which we saw them yesterday. So functions are inbuilt formulas in Excel, while formulas are the one you create on your own by saying 5 plus 5. So you just created a formula by yourself, while functions are inbuilt in Excel. So we are going to use inbuilt functions to calculate these values here. And at times you might have to create formula using some functions. That is combining formulas and combining functions together, create your own formula by yourself. We would get to that hopefully during this training. All right, so here I have my item I just enter this item randomly: fridge, gas cylinder, iron machines, and it went down to speaker. We have month: January, February, March, April, and these are the sales. These are the sales. Maybe I might want to format this so that it looks like money. Remember formatting. You select the cell. It's showing number here, but I want to change it to currency. Maybe I don't want to use this. Let me just place a comma. Reduce the decimal. Oh, it's not working. Okay, the comma won't work because there are three. Let me use this. Alright, so we're in Nigeria. Let me use Naira now. Right, so let me decrease the decimal. Hope it works like this. Okay, now I want to find the total of this. So there are ways you can enter some. You can enter a function in Excel. We are going to use the four ways to enter, and I've mentioned those four methods here. We can use enter our equal sign and type the function. We can also use the function wizard, which is this here, and it's also in the formula tab. The first thing I said about this yesterday. Function wizard, that's insert function dialog box. We can also use the auto sum and keyboard. So there are four methods you can enter um the sum function in Excel. So we're going to start with the first one, which is you enter your equal sign, type the function. In this case, you want to add, so we're going to use the sum function. This is the most common one, popular one. You must know it if you are using Excel. All right, so then I can start selecting the number one. Look at the argument, sum function. If you can see this, I can't zoom this. All right, but the first argument says number, comma, then the second one is in parentheses, is in brackets. All right, let me also mention that anytime you open a function and you see this bracket or parentheses, it means that that function is an optional, that argument is an optional argument. It's not, you don't really need it to create the to get the result you need. But if you want to do some, like say, magic or really cool things, you can include them. Any arguments you see in these brackets are called optional arguments, so you don't always need it to create the function or the formula you need or get the result you need. All right, so the sum function says enter it, write the sum, open the first parenthesis, then you can decide to start clicking this one, start clicking this. You can do this for all of them. Click enter. You will get, you will see that, right? You will see that cell C7 here, this is it. So whichever color is here and that cell has the same color, you know that the value here is the value in this place. So this is just me showing you how to enter values in, and also decide to select this, you add your plus. But all these ones are, you can do this for each and every one of them. You close it, you enter, you still get the result you need. But in this case, we are not going to do any of these. We are just going to open our parentheses and select all the cells that we want to add up, click enter, and we have our result. If you double click this, you will see what you have in that function, the range. So this is called a range. Selecting a range are always separated with this sign. I don't know if you can see this column, this two column sign I typed in here. So this, it shows that it's a range, right? So let me format this. Let me copy this format. Format paint this so that will differentiate. Alright, so we can do the same for this. We can actually drag this. When you select that cell at the bottom right, you will see that green tick square, the box. Once you drop your mouse there, you have this plus sign. You can decide to drag this, and you see that this has worked for each of this column. The February column, we have added them together. So Excel is that intelligent to determine or to guess what you are trying to do. Since we have added this, it's detected that okay, what we wanted to do is to add each of these columns together, and you can do the same. You can get the result that you need. Alright, so this is using equal sign to enter a function in Excel. The next one we are going to use is the function wizard. So here I have dropped my, because I've selected this cell and I want to use the function wizard. Instead of me going to the formula tab, I will just easily come to this. Alright, so we are going to use the function wizard to get the sum of this one. So I just click on the function beside this formula bar. Right, let me close this. Notice that when I selected this and I click the function wizard, equal sign is here as entered here automatically, and the same is in this formula bar, because any cell you select, whatever value is in that cell, you always see it in the formula bar. So we have our equal sign in this formula bar, and here is the function wizard window. Now insert function, search for a function. Because I know the function I am looking for, I don't need to describe that function in this box here. But if I can't really remember the function I'm looking for, maybe I have the idea of what I want that function to do, but I don't know the name, I can describe the function in this place, click on go, it will suggest the function for me here. But in this case, I have an idea of the function, I know the function name I'm looking for, so I'll just simply select sum. I'll click OK, and here I have the function argument. In your sum function, you have your number, you're adding numbers together, and the first number is D. We have the cell range selected, D7 to D16, and because my cursor, I selected this cell, D7 to D16 is here, this is column D, and we have, this is row 7. So it has detected that okay, maybe it's this range that I want to add together. And if this is okay by me, you can always read up what you have here to see if you are getting the right result. Right, so we don't need the second one because the first one has actually given us what we need, right? So I'll click OK, and I have this populated here. Right, so we'll use the next one to the auto sum. Right, so we are going to use the third one, which is the auto sum. Where you will see the auto sum is in your formula tab. After the function wizard, you have your auto sum. Right, so when you click on that drop down, you will see sum, average, count. These are the common functions that we use on a day-to-day basis. Right, so auto sum, once I just click on this auto sum, it selects what it's guess what I'm trying to sum, and it has highlighted it for me. If this is fine by me, I'll click OK. Right, the last one is keyboard shortcut. This one a sharp thing, like this is the best for me. I will just click on alternate on my keyboard, that's the alt key, equal to, I have my result. These are the four ways you can These are the four methods you can add value, use the sum or function in Excel, right? So whichever one that is easy for you. I think I prefer this, the third and the fourth one, my auto sum and my keyboard shortcut. This the fourth one is always the best. All right, the next one we have here is the count function. And here I have students list. Some of us, I think I used our names there, right? So we have students, we have test scores, we have exam scores, and some people here have missing scripts, right? So we have a couple of missing exam results. If in a case where we want to find, look at this place, we have the count function, we have count A, we have count blank. Count only cell containing numbers, which is the first one. Count A, count cells that are not empty. Count blank, count only empty cells. So here I want to count the number of students in this class. Now, with these three functions, which one will I use? One, count only cells containing numbers. Two, count cells that are not empty. So if I use this first one, which is count, remember I'll enter my equal sign, and once I start typing count, Excel intelligence pop up all the possible functions that start with what I'm typing. And if I select this, you will see the preview of what that function is about. Count the number of cells in a range that contain numbers. Alright, so if I choose this and say I want to count the number of students and I select this range, close, click enter, I have 0. That is because these are names, they are not numbers. Alright, so the best function I can use here is count cells that are not empty. Alright, so I'm going to enter my equal sign, select the second one, read the preview, count the number of cells in a range that are not empty. I will select this range, close, click enter. I have 13 students here. The next one is number of omitted exam scores. This the function we're going to use to do that is the count blank. So it's going to count cells that are blank, which will give us the result of numbers of omitted exam or missing script, whatever the person had. So count, sorry. So the argument there is the range. So, and this is the range I'm going to select. I've selected it, I'll close, click enter. We have three missing results and we count it here: 1, 2, 3. Alright, so these are the three main count functions in Excel: the count A, the count blank. Alright, yeah, another popular function you should know as a beginner is the mean and the max function, finding the minimum value and finding the maximum value. So here we still have the same data set we used to find the sum functions, and we have the mean. We need to find the mean, we need to find the max, right? So we need to find the minimum value in this range, right? So the argument says the numbers I want to add, number one, the other number is is in that bracket, that square bracket, and I've always said that any argument that is in square bracket is an optional argument. So what we really need is the first argument, which is the number, and we will select this range because we want to find the minimum value. When I close off, I'll click enter. So here we have 315, which is match. So match value is the smallest. So you can just double click. Once you come to the bottom, you double click bottom of that cell where you have that square, tiny square shape. Keep your mouse there, you double click, it fills down. So you have the result for each and every one of them. If you want to find out where the cells or the range that's made up a function is, you just need to double click that cell that contain that function and you will see the range. So we'll do the same for max. So I'll still select this, close, I'll click enter. That is for January. So I can decide to drag this down if I want to waste my time, or I decide to double click, whichever one. You can do that, right? So, sorry. So for each of this function, you can always do it using the same methods we use there. These four methods. I think this will not work for the sign. No, the keyboard shortcuts will not work for this one. Where you will say something like alternate equals. No, it will give you the sum. Alright, so you can always use your select the cell. You can also go to your auto sum, you find the mean, select the mean, selected the wrong cell. Come here and select the range you want. Click enter, it does the same thing for you. Or you can also go to the function wizard. It enters equal sign in that cell. You describe the function if you don't know the name, or if you know the name, you search for it. If you know the name, you search for it. Brings out the function arguments window, and here you have the function I've selected D6 to G6. This is what I have, G6, that's double quote column. Then we have G6, and where is D6? D6 is this place. This is G6. Alright, so this is correct. I'll click enter and I will have the minimum value returned. So you can do the same for max and you will get the same result. So I'll just fill this by double clicking. I will still select this, use my function wizard, describe the function I'm looking for or type the name, click on go, I get the max, click OK. Okay, it has detected the cell I want to find the minimum, the maximum value, and that's if that's okay by me, I'll click enter, then I'll fill down. Another way to fill down is you can go to your home tab on the editing group where you have your fill. I think you need to select the second cell where you want to start from. You can say fill down. Alright, so you see I've added this value. If I check, if I double click it, I'll get the same result. If I want this to happen for each of these cells, I'll select it, go back there, select the whole range that I want to fill down, and use my fill down, and I'll have the same result, right? Just to check if what you have in the cell is what you need. Double click. Alright, so we would have to learn how to handle errors in Excel. Sometimes when you are working with formulas and functions, you will come across errors. And there are three major errors that we always have. It's either you have the name error, the reference error, or the diff error, right? So The name error simply means that the formula name you have entered is not correct. If there's something wrong, you mistakenly entered a, a formula that is not what it is, right? So it will show the name error. The next one you can easily have is the reference error. Let's say reference error just means that a cell or a range that a formula is referring to no longer exists. Maybe the range has been deleted, maybe the value has been deleted. So you always have the reference error, meaning that where this formula is referring to is no longer available. Right? The diff error means that you are dividing something by zero and you're not supposed to divide anything by zero. Right? So here we have January, we have the years on the top, and here we have the total. I'm going to delete this. So want to find this. I want to add this together. So I'm just going to use, instead of using this, I'll just select this and use auth equals to. Now notice that this is selecting the first row, which is 221. 221 is not a value, is a year, right? So I don't want this to be selected. I can decide to adjust it from this formula. Instead of C4, I will start from C5, which is here, C5. You can see, C column C, and this is row 5. So I'll just and click OK. Now, when you look at this cell, you will see that tiny green shape at the top left. Now, once you select that cell, you see this triangle sign, warning sign, and this warning sign is trying to tell me there might be mistake in this formula, there might be mistake in this calculation. And here I have things I can do with it. Is either the first one is saying that the formula omits adjacent cells, and this is correct because it's telling me that I didn't add this value here. It's seeing this as a number that I should add together. Right? We have update formula to include cell. If I click on this, it is going to add this, which is not what I want. Help on this formula will take you to your help. Ignore this error, edit in formula bar, error checking option. So there are a lot of things you can do here, but in this case I can only say ignore error because I do not want to include the adjacent cell, which is the top row, right? So I'll just click on this and that tiny shape there has disappeared, right? So it will still happen here. Okay, since I've solved that, it's no longer happening. I can decide to drag this. So right. So here I have created this name reference and diff errors, and we are going to correct this error. When I clicked on this first one, I still have that triangle sign showing. And if I want to find out which cell is this formula here referring to, I can correct this by going to the formula tab. In the formula auditing group, we have trace precedence, trace dependent, remove arrow, formula, show formula, error checking, evaluate formula. So I can decide to show this formula. Let me click on show. So when I click on show formula, what total cells, it has added telling me that what is in this place is sum. But when you look at that sum, you will see that the sum, the spelling is incorrect. So instead of sum, there is x there, right? Let me undo this. You can always click back here to have what I had before. Right, so that's the first way to show formula. The next one we have there is error checking. When I click the error checking, I have this error checking window open, and I'm seeing error in cell I13. It has written the formula for me there, and it's telling me invalid name error. This formula contains unrecognized text. So in this case, I can see that it is a name error. I can decide to look for help on this error. It's going to take me, it's going to take me to Excel help. It's taking time to open. So once you click on help on this error, it's going to open your browser if you are connected to the internet, and it's going to tell you about name error and what you must have done correctly. So you read up this to find out, okay, this name error is, you can see here the top reason why the name error appears in the formula is because there is a typo in the formula name, right? So look at this, gave an example of count if. This one here has a misspelling. I think there is double I instead of one I. So that is it about finding solution to your formula. This is help. Show calculation steps. So show calculation step is the same thing as evaluate formula, which is the third thing we have here in this line, evaluate formula. So when is either you click on this straight, but I clicked on the error checking and I still got to this place. So the evaluate formula is telling me the Windows has reference, error handling, blah, I want to say blah blah blah. See me? So we have evaluate window. In this window, we have the sum. We can easily see this error, but the next evaluation will result in an error. So if I click on this now, it's going to show me what the error is. So I'm seeing that it is a name error, and I can close this, go back to that formula. Since I've seen it's a name error, and edit it. So I'll just come here, remove that X there because it's sum I want to do. Click enter. I have corrected this. If I double click, and I will see that this is sum of the total cells. Right, so this is how to check where errors are coming from. Now the next one is the reference error, and what we have there is total December. This basically means that the cell that this formula is referring to no longer exists, or that range. And I have made it that here you have November, there is no December here. So that is why it is showing reference error. So you can decide to add back that December row. You select it, you correct your reference error, right? So maybe let me see if I can insert. So let me insert December, enter any value. So the what we have here is total of quarter two, and the diff error, like I said before, means that they are dividing something by zero. So I've just kind of input 1/0. That is why I am having the diff error 1/0. So in this case, I want to find the total of quarter two, and I will just have to go and correct this total of quarter two. So I'll also use my sum. I think the first quarter starts from April to June. Sorry, close, click enter. Alright, so these are the common errors you will always find: the name, the reference, the div error. Div error means that you're dividing something by zero. Reference error means that where this cell or this formula is referring to no longer exists. The name error means that there is a typo in your formula name or function name. Right, so that is it about handling errors in worksheet. Alright, so this is the last thing I have for today's training, and it is autofill. So we have four methods to autofill to fill something. So we have the first method is double click, drag, and some of these things we have been doing it at the course of this training: dragging, double clicking, drag down, fill down button, keyboard shortcut. By so we'll just use the four methods to fill up this argument here. Or so here we have the total, and we have, so let's find this one. Well, we are always using some function. The common function you have to know. So instead of selecting and dragging down, you can just use control. Oh no. Control shift down arrow. Click enter. Notice I still have that tiny green distance showing me that there is an error in this formula, and that's because I didn't select this. Alright, so I will drag this, then selecting the four of them, I will just say ignore error. Alright, so here we have total, and we want to add the total of January sales from 2021 2018. We can use the Alt on the keyboard equals, I didn't type it correctly. So Alt equal, am I having this? The Alt on the keyboard, your equal sign, click enter. You have this. The first one I want to do is double click. When I double click, this fills down, and that is because there is a cell beside it. Let me put it that way. So if these values are not here, double clicking will not work, right? So I'll just double click and it fills down. Notice that it stops here because what we have here is formula 2. Except I want to drag this, I can drag it down. So it has given me the total of the total sales, right? So here we have the average function. So we have done the mean, we have done count function, we have done min and max, right? So to find average is still the same. You just type your equal sign and start writing average. So enter the numbers that you want to find the average. So want to find the average of this. Close, click enter. Now we want to fill down using the drag. So once I select that cell, I'll still leave my mouse on this tiny square green shape and it will give me this plus sign. I'll double click and I will drag down. So this is second method to autofill. I'm having decimals. If you don't like the decimal, remember you can just select the cell and you go to your own tab and reduce decimal in the number group. So we want to use the fill down button for this third one. So find the mean, enter your mean, select it, open parenthesis, you select the range you want to find the minimum value, close, click enter. Then want to use the fill down button. This fill down button, the first thing you need to do is to select where you want to fill down, the range you want to fill down, or the entire column you want to fill down. So this is where I want this value to be filled. And once I've selected that, I'll go to my home tab. On the editing group, I will see the fill. Click on that drop down arrow. You have fill down, fill right, fill up, fill left. But in this case, we want it to fill down. We select the fill down and it fills down for us. The last one we are going to look at is using the keyboard shortcut, which is the sweetest one. You don't need to waste too much time. So we're going to do our max. Sorry. But you won't find maximum value of this. Close, enter. So the keyboard shortcut to fill down, this is more like flash fill, is Control D. I just typed Control D now on my keyboard. I just click on Control D and I have this filled up for me. But if I select the whole range and click Control D, it fills down for me. So this is how to fill values